All right, check this out. It's January. We're in San Diego. It's been kind of a mild, rainy winter. Today we've had some rain in the morning. Had rain off and on for the last couple of weeks. So I decided to come out here and check a spot where I've often found culinary mushrooms. Delicious wild mushrooms in San Diego. So I'm already seeing some stuff I like. It's really moist today. There's mushrooms kind of popping everywhere. So I'm hoping I can find the good kind. I'm just gonna bring you along and we'll see what we see. All right, let's go. Ooh, there's something. Okay, so this is a mushroom I see a lot here. I don't eat it. I told you before in another video, I only eat mushrooms when I know what they are. This one is a really common one. I see it everywhere in San Diego. I've looked it up. I feel like it was called oak-loving trichoderma or something like that. Again, I don't know what it is, so I don't mess with it, but I do like to check them. Sometimes it's not what you expect. When I pick them like this, I usually just put them back as if I never had. And that mushroom is actually a fruit, and the spores come out of the gills here. So I haven't actually disturbed it that much by just doing that. It'll still distribute its spores. Bugs will eat the mushroom. It's okay to kind of just inspect. I don't take them home if they're not edible. And also it's perfectly safe to touch mushrooms, even if they're poisonous. You don't really have to worry. As long as you don't eat it, you're safe. Here's something cool. These mushrooms grow here in San Diego. I call them false turkey tails. They look really cool. They're not edible, but they look neat, and they grow really well here. So I'm always excited to see them. Okay, here's something. Almost walked right by it. Little white mushroom. It's probably going to be an agaricus. This is a really common mushroom here. It's got the brown gills, the white top. You can see the veil remnant. Those are not good eats. Do you guys see that? Pretty sure that's going to be a jack-o'-lantern. Let's have a look real quick. So I mentioned in another video, the chanterelle has a look-alike, which is yellow. This is, in some sense, people will call it a false chanterelle. It's not anything like a chanterelle. You can see here it has gills and not veins, and it's really dark underneath. These grow really well in San Diego, especially I find them a lot up here. Don't eat these, deadly toxic. If you live here in San Diego, it's basically a desert. So it's really cool to come out here in this oak forest that's moist and wet and just see something different, you know? See some fungal life. Sometimes I find food out here, so it's worth a little drive once in a while to check it out. Oh, it's raining. Well, you guys, I had almost given up. I put away all my camera gear, started pouring rain. Came out here and I saw a little patch of blewits here. So I'm gonna just take my time. I'm gonna go and pick them all. I'm gonna clean them as I go. We're gonna put them in clamshells. We're gonna have some mushrooms. All right, so can you guys see this here? I don't know if it's on the screen. You can recognize these blewits because they have a nice domed top. They're generally kind of purple. Let's see if I bring this over here. See how purple that is underneath? It can be sort of brown on top, especially as it gets old. It's a gilled mushroom. There is another purple mushroom. I think it's a Cortinarius lookalike. It has a slimy top. So if you have basically purple in San Diego, if you have purple and gills and kind of a brownish to purple top, that's a blewit. This is a really good mushroom. It's kind of like, you know, it reminds me of a button mushroom actually, but it's wild and it's free. So, like I said, I like to work clean, pick these guys, and we'll just kind of shave off the dirt off the bottom. And we don't put them in the clamshell until they're clean. Brush off the top. So I can see a little handful here, we're gonna pick them. When you're picking like this and you find a little patch, go slow because you don't want to step on them. There's another big one just in here. Oh, there's one right here underfoot. They always grow in clusters like this. So if you find one, pretty good chance you'll find more. These look like They're maybe a week old or so. So we had some rain right before Christmas. These probably popped up from that rain. There's another one in here. Again. Oh, cool. Poison oak to the eye. That's going to be a good time. It's not a ton. It's not enough to make a mushroom pie, which is kind of what I was hoping for. But you get what you get, you know? If I found these, there might be some other ones around. The other thing about these, if you're in doubt, you can go home and take a spore print. I think it's a white spore print. The other one has a brown spore print. So we're just gonna kind of slowly pick apart this spot. Oh, look, look. They're coming up underneath this bush. There's 1, 2, 3, and I could see one deep inside there. Let's go get the camera. Okay, so we got a couple more back here on the other side of this tree. Just kind of excavate them. There's one. Look at that. Beautiful mushrooms. These are a sight for sore eyes in San Diego. It's so dry here. I don't know how mushrooms grow here at all. Like it'll be all summer, be 100 degrees out here. Zero precipitation for, 8 months out of the year. Oh, crap. There's one. Just trim. See, you can see this is a mycelial mass. That's the actual organism. So you just cut that off and you have a beautiful piece of food there. We almost have enough to do something with these. Oh, there's more back in here. Oh yeah, this is awesome. We can also clean these up a bit more when we get home. So yeah, San Diego County Bluets, January 2024. Starting off this year right. Okay, I can see one just starting to peek here out of the leaf litter. So we'll pick that. Oh, see that? That's the shrump right there. The mushroom comes up out of the ground and it pushes all of the leaves up with it. We're getting to the point where this is a pound or two, You put this in a pie shell with some eggs and cream, caramelized onions, top it with some cheese. We'll do that later. You got enough mushrooms to make a little pie. That's a really nice recipe to make with wild mushrooms. All right, guys, so I'm back home. Got pretty muddy, so I got cleaned up these mushrooms. All I did was kind of rinse the cap and rinse the stem a little bit. I try not to get water in the gills. But here's our final haul. It's not huge, but it's pretty good for the freaking desert, okay? This is like maybe a pound or two. It'd be enough to make a little quiche thing. So to give you a little closer look at this mushroom, you can see it's got a really nice purple color. It's got beautiful, lush purple gills. There's a little bit of dirt in there. That's kind of okay. You don't want dirt, but it's really hard to get out of the gills. The stem is solid, but kind of fibrous. The top is kind of brown. So again, you're looking for the purple color. I mentioned this in my other video, but I always double check my mushrooms. So these are, I think you pronounce it Tosabe nuda. And you can see this is really close to what we have. It's got a nice purple stem. It's got purple gills. It's got a kind of a brownish top. And this book here, I'll link it in the description. They even say some Cortinarias can look strikingly similar to a bluet. So I always cross-reference. There's some other purple mushrooms, like these guys are purple. Whatever that is. That's not what we have. I can tell. It's got the reddish bottom. It's got more of a like conical top. So you can kind of tell by the morphology. That's not what we have. And then here's that Cortinarius. One of the things they said is the Cortinarius has webbing along the stem. So I wish I had the real thing here, but you can see the gill pattern is completely different. The top is like a velvety dark purple. So you have to kind of learn to recognize the morphology of these mushrooms. All right, it's the next day. I rinsed these mushrooms, I let them dry on a wire rack, and now we're ready to cook with them. These came out really beautiful. can see here, they're losing their purple color a little bit. I usually like to cook my mushrooms with thyme because it will turn into like little leaves and things, and then you won't notice the little leaves and things that are already on the mushroom. So we're going to start by just slicing these mushrooms. I like to remove the stem and then cut them in half and then cut them into slices, just like that. You can see that really nice, beautiful purple color. So we'll slice all these up. We're going to saute them with some thyme, and then I'm going to caramelize an onion. And that's going to be the basis of this recipe. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned the stem. I want long pieces, so I'm going to do the stem into long pieces too, so that kind of the pieces are all the same size in the final dish. As I'm slicing these, it's really interesting. They smell almost, I would say almost like lavender, which is weird. I don't know if that's my brain playing tricks on me because it's kind of a lavender color, but it's got that really nice, fragrant, herbal aroma that I think is lavender, but I don't cook with lavender. I could be mistaken. So there you are, our sliced mushrooms. We'll go back in here just for now. I'm gonna go ahead right now while this is just getting prepped and add a little thyme to it. I'll just put it on top for now. It'll get mixed in as we saute these. So we're gonna saute these in butter. I've read it's good to get high heat on your butter, get the mushrooms in, and then don't touch them until they start to release their juice. And that gives you a nicer sear. Kind of makes sense. Okay, so that's ready to go in the pan. I'm gonna finish chopping the onion first. When I'm slicing an onion, I like to come and cut the top off. Then I put that flat end down. I cut through the root ball. Every time I'm cutting an onion, I start that way. Now I have a decision. Do I want all my pieces to be kind of the same length, or do I not care? So obviously there are rings here, and if I cut it this way, I'm going to have small rings and large rings. If I cut it this way, I get long strips that are much more even. And so if I'm making pickled onions, I usually will cut this way to get long, even strips. I'm just going to caramelize these, so I'm going to cut it this way into basically half rings. All right, so we're just going to come here and do these half rings. I want about a 3/8 inch spacing. It's not really that critical. Okay, so we're at the stove. I've got these two pans hot. It all starts with butter. We're going to start with the onions because they take a long time. So I'm going to put a good, I think that's 2 tablespoons. Get that going in there. And then I'm going to get a good tablespoon or so in for the mushrooms. So for the onions, I don't know the exact right way to caramelize onions, but my secrets are low heat and steam. So I'm going to get them in here. I'm going to get just a nice little sizzle going, and I'm going to turn the heat all the way to low and just let them go for, it takes time. It takes, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes. And I don't salt them at first either. So onions in, got a nice little sizzle. I just want to get them kind of coated with the fat. I'm not going to put salt yet. I'm going to turn this heat all the way down and cover it. And that'll just go now. I'll stir it occasionally. You don't want to stir it too much because they'll get gummy and you'll break up the onions a little bit. The mushrooms, I want to kind of sear them. And so I'm going to get this kind of hot. My butter's going to start to turn a little brown. I'm going to put the mushrooms in, and then I'm not going to touch them for a couple minutes until the juices kind of release and start to soak back in. And then I'm going to get a nice sear on these mushrooms. All right, we're at the finish line here. So I decided I don't have enough mushrooms to make the quiche, so I'm going to make a tart. I actually made this for New Year's, and it was a huge hit, so we're going to do that. Got a piece of puff pastry here. I've got here caramelized onions and my mushrooms. It's a little gloppy, but it's okay. So we're going to start with this puff pastry, and the trick here is you actually want to kind of score it so that there's a crust like a pizza. And what we'll do is we'll score a square, and then we'll poke the interior with a fork, and that will keep the interior kind of bonded together because we're puncturing all those layers of the puff pastry, and then the crust, because it's undisturbed, will rise up. So We don't want to color all the way through. We're just going to kind of score gently. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just score that square in there. And then you do want to poke the interior a lot. Okay, so that's pretty good. This is some shredded Gruyere, which I just did while you guys weren't watching. I don't want to go too much, but you want enough that you kind of have a nice bed of cheese. If it gets on the crust like that, that's okay too. All of these onions and mushrooms are going to go on here. And hopefully, in the heat of the oven, they're going to brown up a little bit more. This is going to come out looking beautiful, toasty, earthy, rich. This is going to go in the oven. I think I did 350. I think it's, I'll double check. I think it's 20 or 30 minutes, but I'm just going to go by eye until the puff pastry on the edge is puffed up and starting to brown. You can brush the edge with egg wash. I don't like to do that because I feel like I'm wasting 90% of an egg. So I'm happy to have an unbrowned crust, but this is going to be nice. All right, we'll see you in a minute. Oh, look at that. All right, guys, here's the final product. A wild mushroom tart foraged from San Diego County. We got the Gruyere, we got the mushrooms, we got the caramelized onions. It looks fantastic. Tell me that does not look good. I challenge you. Let's give it a little try here. Just cut off a little corner. Oh, it's crispy. It's juicy. It's hot. I'm trying not to destroy it as I take a piece out here. Look at that. Look at that. Steamy. Oh man, here we go. Oh wow, that was so good. The flakiness of the puff pastry, the earthiness of the mushrooms, got that kind of pungent, nice Gruyere flavor. Every time I eat Gruyere, I think I should eat more Gruyere. Oh man, this is so good. I think that's dinner sorted here. Anyway, you should make this. I'm gonna enjoy some of this, have some leftovers, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.